Hey everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my fabulous corner, and my corner has been graced by a wondrous presence today. Would you like to introduce yourself to all the fans out there?
You couldn't possibly be talking to me. Are you talking a wondrous presence?
Yes, I
That's
am.
really nice. I'm Henry Dittman, and among other things, I do the voice of Kabuto for Naruto.
Yes, I was actually looking all over your credits, and everybody gets on my case because I'm not the biggest Naruto fan, because I don't spend a lot of time watching 500 episodes of a series, but
Oops, I gotta go. I gotta go. Sorry.
I have seen clips, and I spent a little bit of time researching the character, who seems to be really mean.
Oh, it's so evil. I love it. I really love it. I love it. Every actor will tell you, and I've been hearing it since I was in theater school, that the villain is the most fun role to play, and there's no doubt about it when you get to really, and I'm a really nice guy. I like to think I'm a really nice guy in real life. So to get those demons out, to coin a phrase, is pretty awesome.
Well, you basically get to be in a small room without a straitjacket, yelling into a microphone.
That's right. That's right.
So
You
let's get
you just
emotions out.
perfectly described my job.
Well, so I'm kind of curious, how did you fall into Naruto?
Wow. I started as an actor in LA about 12 years ago and moved out to LA from college and didn't really have any idea what to do. So started doing theater, which is how I kind of came up, how a lot of actors come up. And in my first play that I did, I met Yuri Lowenthal, who does the voice of Sasuke in Naruto. And he, Yuri is another guy who kind of is a jack of all trades. He does everything, although he really does specialize in voiceover. And basically one day said, they're looking for new voice actors for Naruto. You got to come along with me and meet Jamie Simone and who owns Studiopolis, or I guess runs Studiopolis. I don't know what his actual title is. And I basically just came in and read for a bunch of different characters and got Kabuto and didn't really know. I mean, I hadn't watched an anime since, well, I watched the Ava series. But other than that, I hadn't watched an anime since Robotech. I mean, like, which is far before you were born.
I've seen some of it, though. Don't worry.
So I was completely blind on what I was coming into, and I learned within the airing of my first episode and finding fan comments from fans who had watched the Japanese series how really devoted they were. And I take my work really seriously. I sort of pride myself of being the guy who walks onto a set or into a recording studio and can get it in one take. I'm really hard on myself in that way. I don't like to mess around and I don't like to waste people's time. So I didn't really need motivation to take it more seriously. But like I said, it became between that and my first trip to Comic-Con three years ago, I guess it was. It became really clear to me how dear this series is to the fans, and as a result of it, I treat it with a lot of tender respect, for lack of a better word.
And it's dubbing, so you have to really be serious, and I hear that you have to be really quick to the draw. You can't really mess up too many times, and dubbing seems really difficult. Did you have problems with it at all?
You know what? I didn't, and I truthfully had done 2 or 3 video games, I guess, leading up to it, and I have learned everything that I've done in this business the hard way. You and I had spoken before, and you'd said that you do interviewing, but you've never been trained for interviewing. I just think that you can train, you can take classes on how to do all these things, but for the most part, for me, the best way to learn is to sink or swim. And an example that actually in Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Platt's voiceover book that they actually quoted me on was, I went in to do a radio commercial at one point, my first radio commercial, and they said, okay, in this next take, let's do an ABC take. Just give us ABC. Well, in voiceover, that means 3 reads in a row without cutting that are just a little different each read. So they said, and I didn't know that. So they said, and action. And I said, ABC?
Oh.
I just said ABC. And the engineer was very kind and said, Henry, that means 3 different takes. Point being, I had already fallen into the sarlacc pit, if you will, of dubbing by being thrown into video games. Xenosaga 2 was the first video game that I worked on that had dubbing, and it was a sequel to a very popular game, and in the same way of kind of coming into Naruto.
Oh, seems we got a little dropped call there. I was kind of waiting for it because Skype has not been nice to us today. But have we gotten a return? Oh. Nope, it seems we're still a little bit cut off. Don't worry though, we're going to get that all fixed and settled, so you want to keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't.
Swan Dive. Hello, fanatics. Look at the fan. Now back to me. Now back at the fan. Now back to me. Sadly, you're not with me, but if you stop using MSN and Yahoo and change to our IRC chat, you could be with me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're in our IRC with the fans of things you like. Look in our chat. Now back at me. I have it. It's a mod kicking those two people you hate. Look again. The mods are now maids. Anything is possible when you use our IRC chat and not a messenger. I'm on a wolf's.
Hey everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. I am still here with my special guest. We got a little bit disconnected, but we fixed everything, hopefully. We were actually in the middle about talking, about dubbing and sort of a little bit of your career, and you were explaining about Xenosaga at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question that I was really taking forever to answer was about how I got into anime, and if I think you were asking about the difficulties of dubbing. So I had sort of had a sink or swim experience already where, the way that dubbing works basically is that when it's getting close to the time for your line, there are 3 beeps that are in a perfect meter like a metronome, and if you sit there and bounce your finger with the beeps, where the 4th beep would be is where you start speaking. But just like my ABC experience, or my first on-camera job, my first movie, my first TV show, everything I've ever done, no one had ever told me that. I'd never taken a voiceover class. So I was halfway through the session before I heard someone say to someone else, man, he's really good at following the beeps. He's really got that down. He must have done this before, and realized, the beeps. The beeps. I'm supposed to follow the beeps. A lot of the things that we do in LA, like on-camera acting, it's really about sort of not being an actor. It's about sort of feeling very natural, and what actors have to do when they come out here and start working in TV and film so often is unlearn the techniques that they've learned in theater school or working in sketch comedy, which is also my background. However, in voiceover, all of those skills are really valuable. The ability to play different characters, the technical skill of where you resonate your voice, whether it's down in your diaphragm or up in your throat or way up in your head. Those things are all really valuable skills. So on one hand, yes, it's a very technical job doing dubbing, but on the other hand, probably within, I remember the exact session that it happened, although I don't remember the episode. Within a handful of episodes of Naruto, I sort of slipped into a place where I wasn't thinking about the technical aspects of it anymore. If you started now at the beginning of the series and listened to the first handful of episodes as Kabuto, I was really just trying to figure it out, and we all in the booth were trying to figure it out because they don't want us just voice matching the Japanese actors. Thank goodness, because they're kind of all geniuses. It would be very daunting if our job was to try to copy these Japanese voice actors because they're amazing. It has its own technical requirements, but just like any other style of acting or any other thing you might do at some point, whether, surfing, golf, anything you can do, at some point you get back down to feeling it. And now that I'm in that place with the dubbing, the technical side of it doesn't seem quite so stressful.
Now, you did mention video games a little. I know that Xenosaga was originally from Japan, but that had a little bit of matching in that one as well, even though, it was a little bit different. It's not necessarily animation. What were the key differences, though, between recording a video game and recording, an anime like Naruto?
Wow. I haven't done dubbing on a video game in so long other than Naruto video games, but there certainly is a little bit less of a story flow to it.
is sort of the short answer to your question. I mean, with a video game, you're much more doing action sequences, and you do have small scenes, but it pales in comparison to me coming in and doing a 3-episode arc in 2 hours and really getting to get somewhere as a character, you know. And the Naruto series is really well written, so you get a lot of chance to do that. It's very interesting that Kabuto's arcs are somewhat repetitive, the way that all of a sudden we're back to Kabuto. Now he's going to go do something sneaky for Orochimaru. Now he's going to come back and talk about it. Now he's going to, there is some similarity to the arcs, but Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who directs a lot of the episodes, and Jamie Simone and the engineer, and also the actors are really dedicated to coming up with something that's fresh and exciting. You know, it's not just everyone sitting there and going, did we match the lip flap? Okay, we matched the lip flap. Let's move on. That sort of ends up being the least of the worries.
Well, I've heard a lot of really good things from Studiopolis in general. I got to interview a while back Jack Fletcher, who's done a lot of work at that studio. So
I love that guy. I love that guy. He's a really great guy. I've known him for years in the voiceover business, and everyone that I've ever met at Studiopolis, they're pretty amazing people. Voiceover people are pretty great too. There's a certain lack of ego that you find where you're at a voiceover audition for something, and suddenly you realize you're talking to D. Bradley Baker or Yuri Lowenthal. I mean, he's my friend, so that doesn't happen to me. You suddenly realize you're talking to someone who literally is a superstar of the. I did a radio commercial last week with the guy who does Winnie the Pooh, all the Winnie the Pooh voices.
Oh, wow.
Whose name I can't remember, and it was at the very. And it's embarrassing that I can't remember his name, but I finished this McDonald's radio commercial, and we're sitting there chatting, and suddenly the engineer said, "Hey, how's the movie going?" And he starts doing all these different voices, and I realized I just did a radio commercial with a guy that just seemed like the salt of the earth, normal dude, and he is literally a superstar in voiceover. Tara Strong, she's someone I know you've interviewed. Same thing, like her reputation around town, although I don't really know her, is one of just being a great down-to-earth person. So it's sort of one of the exciting things about doing voiceover is that you don't have the same diva attitudes that are rumored from other aspects of our business, you know.
I mean, that sort of, attitude ensures that we're able to get people like you on for an interview, and that's the thing that I've really like about the industry, and that's why I think we continue to promote them, is because they need more recognition for what they do. It's a real talent. It's hard to do.
Well, yeah, and I think too we really as fans really demand now to know more and have more. You know, it's very funny to me that I remember I do a lot of hosting, and I remember I hosted a web series, a travel series that went from Boston to LA for 10 weeks. I hosted maybe like 3 years ago. God, it must have been more than that, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And it was when Facebook was just starting, and no one had a Facebook account if they weren't in college. It had just started. But these people were all cutting edge, and they said, you have to start a Facebook page. And I remember it being this huge discussion among everyone I knew that nobody would let their Facebook page be open access and let people look at it, and everything was about keeping walls up and keeping secrecy. And I just feel a little bit like as fans and I guess just as people, we've all become really, it's sort of this open book, you know. So I think it's great that you have this, that everyone's very open to it, but I also think by definition you're sort of dealing with a group of people that, like, I want to talk to I want to hear from the people who like what I do. You know, it's exciting.
And it helps you sort of see, well, did people like it? I mean, obviously, if you go back and watch it, you can analyze it yourself, but it's always nice to hear it from someone else as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually had an experience at, if you go on to, if you find my hosting reel, I'm sure that it's on my YouTube and my Facebook and on my website and all that. One of the hosting jobs I did at one point was for a website called GameTap. I'm not sure if they're still around, GameTap.com. For a while they were trying to do coverage of live events, and they hired me to host man-on-the-street coverage of Comic-Con. So for 3 days I basically got hired to be driven down to San Diego and walk around Comic-Con for 3 days, and it was a paycheck. I mean, the exclusive interviews with the sharpest, brightest minds in comics and anime and animation, it was a geek's dream come true. And the whole time I was there, I was looking for someone wearing something that was Kabuto. And everyone's dressed as Naruto and all these other characters. And I found someone dressed as Kabuto and went to her and said, hey, we're doing this show. Can we interview? We interviewed her. And I said, hey, after the interview, I said, can I get your picture for my Facebook? Because I actually do the voice of Kabuto. And suddenly she kind of freaked out and was like, oh, my gosh. And what she wasn't quite grasping was that I was the one who was really honored by the fact that somebody had chosen to dress up like a character that I do the voice for. You know, like it was such an interesting thing that everyone that was on the crew was saying, man, she thought that was so cool, and I completely missed that point because for me, I was the one who was super honored and excited that somebody was into the work that I had done. So, and I think that sort of attitude sort of prevails around voiceover, you know.
I think that's really adorable. And I have to say that I think as more time goes on with the fans getting to know, you know, the voice actors and vice versa, it seems like a really healthy relationship is developing in the geekdom world.
Well, good. I'm glad to be a part of that.
And I'm glad that you can have memories like that, and you can be honored just by, you know, a fan expressing themselves for a character they love. I think that's really cool that you can feel, you know, I'm awesome. That yay, somebody likes my character, while she was really excited just to meet you.
Yeah, and but I also am a little bit of a rare animal in the business because I've been doing this for 12 years, and I've been making a living without having any sort of like day job or anything like that for probably like 6 or 7 years. And I still am, I still completely geek out about being on a set, being in a recording studio, going to a wardrobe fitting. Every step of the way, I've lost none of the wide-eyed wonder of I work in television, I work in radio, I work in movies, and I think that's maybe a little rare. I think there's lots of people that at some point they kind of went, oh, this is no big deal. This is just what I do. But for me, I continue to love it. I continue to be really excited to see the finished product when I've done a project, and also to be in the midst of it. And I think it's really easy all the time. I think so much has happened, especially in the last couple of weeks, that I hope is giving people a lot of perspective on how good their lives are. Without trying to get really heavy in our conversation. And for me, I've never lost the appreciation of how lucky I am to be a working actor. People are always asking how you get into anime and how you get into voice work and all that. The truth is that it's only like 0.001% of actors make a living doing it. So I really recognize the luck that was involved, and also that how people have believed in me and helped me along the way. And that also obviously comes around also to people who appreciate the work. But the truth is I get to play dress up and make believe for a living. It's really hard to walk around with a chip on your shoulder when that's your job.
Well, that to me personally, that shows that you really love it and you really enjoy it. And I think that's the most important thing, as long as you love your career.
Yeah, it seems so simple, doesn't it? But when you put it that way, it's exactly that's exactly what it is.
And I think we're going to take a very short break at a heart-warming moment right there, but keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we'll learn more about our special guest.
Hi, I'm the Celtic Guardian, but you guys can call me Dave. When I'm not busy being sacrificed in order to summon monsters that are halfway useful, I like to listen to 918 The Fan, one of the hottest online radio shows on the worldwide internet highway. Thing. Did I mention I have like 1,400 attack points? That's a big deal in my world, you know. Plus, I have a sword. Does the Blue Eyes White Dragon have a sword? No. Fuck the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Seriously.
Hey, everybody out there. This is technically our second break here on 91.8 The Fan, but we're still here in the corner. I still have a special guest. Would you like to give him a sign of life?
Who is this?
This is your debt collector.
Who is on the phone with me? Please stop calling this number.
I'm sorry, but no, it's a debt collector.
Hello, yes, we are back. I hope everyone enjoyed their break. I hope that you will spend your hard-earned dollars on all of the products that you heard advertised during our break.
Woohoo! And thank you for that nice little plug. But now it's time
No problem.
to plug you. What sort of projects that you are recently working on that you can talk about would you like the listeners to know about?
There's more Naruto on the way, which I'm always very excited about. I just did a couple of days on a new movie and have been told that there are more episodes on the way as well. But I really am primarily an on-camera actor, so I was fortunate enough in the last 6 months or so to do leads in a couple of movies, but they are independent release films, so we'll see. One of them is opposite Tyler Hoechlin, who is the lead in the new Teen Wolf series that's filming in Atlanta right now called Open Gate. One of them is a feature film opposite Ileana Douglas called Knots. And then I just did a couple of days' work on a feature film opposite one of the. Did you see the Grindhouse movies or Machete?
Oh, I saw Machete.
Yeah, so the twin Hispanic hotties that are in both those movies. One of them is Electra is her name, Avalon. She actually is producing films, and I'm in a movie that she just produced as well called Amelia's 25th. So I have those things going on. What I'm most excited about actually is because I also do a lot of commercials, but no one wants to sit and listen to that. What I'm most excited about creatively right now is that I actually just did a play last fall called Watson, and it's nominated for a Saturn Award, which is the big sci-fi awards. I didn't really realize I didn't realize it had a theater category. I'm not nominated as an actor, although I was nominated for an LA Weekly Award for Best Comedic Performance in it. But it's basically a telling of Sherlock Holmes' tale from the point of view of Watson, and then I play the evil Professor Moriarty. And what's kind of exciting about it is it uses this, back to the Japanese, they're so intertwined in my life, this Japanese movement style called Suzuki that is all sort of deep in the core, very grounded physical work. So if, for example, there's a scene where Professor Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes are talking on the cliffs of Dover, rather than walking across the stage, there are stage hands in black sliding trunks across the stage, precariously placing them just in time for the characters to step on them as they walk across the stage. So that we just had a really successful and exciting run at the Sacred Fools Theater in LA doing that, and now this summer we're going to relaunch the show and try to find backers to take it to a larger theater and see what we can do with it. So, but that's kind of my thing. Like, again, I'm probably one of your rare actors voice actors you would interview where voice acting is not my primary focus. I'm kind of the jack of all trades. And please don't say master of none. I'm very sensitive about it.
I am kind of curious, though, since I don't get to talk to many on-camera actors who primarily do that. How do you keep, everything in shape, with your, like, what if you get a pimple or any of that stuff, do you ever freak out about that?
Yes, are you kidding? Yes. The thing is, especially living, well, first of all, I'm very lucky that I'm a guy. I think that it is a very tough road for women in general, and I think in this business there's a lot of pressure sort of to look perfect and all of those things. But I tell you what, I'm not above digging through my fiance's makeup kit if I have a big pimple in the middle of my face right before an audition. I'll put a little concealer on. I don't own any myself. I will cover my tracks with that. But you have to. You have to stay in shape. But it's as much for the stamina as it is about having any kind of a look or any sort of an image. My average day would involve 4 or 5 auditions and driving across town 5 different ways. And like today, I had 2 auditions in the morning, and now I'm talking with you, and I'll have a couple more auditions, and then I have acting class tonight from 7 until 10 because I continue to study acting, so I can get better at it and stay fresh at it. It's a constant process. And to do that 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, you have to be in pretty tip-top shape or you burn out,
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've just always wondered about it because I know when you go in vocally, you can be pretty physical in the booth. You can't really make too much noise, but you can still, wave your hands about a little bit without knocking the $4,000 mic over. But But, with on camera, I would think that depending, it could be very strenuous.
Well, yes, but also it can be very, I mean, listen, I just listened to your interview with Tara Strong, and if you go back and listen to that interview and listen to her do those voices, I guarantee you dropping in and playing those voices, that's also physically strenuous. Anytime you're engaging yourself like that, I mean, physically you're projecting and you're pushing and all of that, but anytime that you're conveying emotion and talking, I mean, don't you feel a little winded when you get done doing one of these interviews? It definitely gets you moving. It's not as though you'd have to run around the booth in circles with the microphone in your hand in order to get a workout. When I do a battle between Kabuto and Naruto, when it's done and I've been guttural grunting and screaming and yelling and pushing myself to that emotion because I'm not in there just trying to fake it. I want to get in there and really, again, give the fans what I think they have come to expect from the series. It takes something out of you, without a doubt.
I will admit that actually with interviews I get more energetic. I think I just naturally respond to people. But when I do my news spill, which is essentially 20 to 30 minutes of me talking through maybe anywhere from 12 to 20 news stories, by the end I'm like, where's my water?
Yeah, and I mean, I can think right now of a day last week where I basically I hopped in the car, I got up at 6. I went to voiceover audition and did 5 pieces of copy. And I went over to a studio and auditioned for a pilot where I had to be angry the whole time. And then I went and auditioned for a commercial where I had to be sad and destitute. And then I ran to another audition where I had to be laughing hysterically the whole time. And then I had acting class that night where I did 4 scenes. And so you put yourself through that many emotions in a day, it'll get you, you have to be tip top. And I'm sure that someone, you talk about a D. Bradley Baker or a Tara Strong who does far more voice work than I do too. I have to imagine that they probably have to live like monks and nuns in monasteries at some point. I'm sure there's no, I hold season tickets to an NBA team and I go and blow my voice out at basketball games screaming like a moron. And every time I do it, I sit there and think, if I was on every episode of Naruto, they would not let me do this. I'd have to change some portion of my behavior if this was every single day I had to do the same role and sound exactly the same, So but it definitely, it grinds you out and you've got to be in shape for it, for sure.
I can understand that, and it's interesting to talk with you about that aspect. I don't get to really converse about that often, though I am curious, before I get too sidetracked, is there any places on the interwebs where people can stalk you in a nice way?
Yes. Yes. I am, most of them you can just type in whatever website we're talking about and put my name at the end. I think that Twitter is just twitter.com/Henry Dittman. I have a Twitter feed that is pretty consistently where I post up links to videos and occasionally funny things, although mostly not. Attempts at humor, certainly, that fall flat. You can get me on my Facebook, and then if you add me as a friend on Facebook, just make sure in the notes you include a note that says, hey, I heard you on 91.8, or I like you on Naruto, so I just don't think it's a bot trying to sell me stuff.
Or a debt collector.
my website, henrydittman.com, not all of the links are up to date. Not all the videos are up to date and reels and things like that, but that's a really great place to log on and go through the news and links to find sort of where all my materials are. You can find my manager's website. I just signed with a new voiceover agency, TGMD. Their links are up there, and within the next week, all my demos will be up there. But probably Facebook and Twitter are probably the best ways to sort of keep track of what I'm doing and reach out.
Now, for those really daring stalkers out there, are there any real-life events that they can hide in the bushes and watch from afar?
Yeah, if you're in the Los Angeles area, I think that it's really worth keeping an eye out. Sacredfools.org is the theater's website. But again, if you're following my feed, if you're following me on Twitter is probably the best way to keep track of that. When we remount Watson, French Stewart, who you're probably too young to have ever seen Third Rock from the Sun. He was one of the aliens on Third Rock from the Sun, which is a series about 8 or 10 years ago. He's in the show. Joe Freya, who is a really well-known theater actor in L.A., is in the show. Scott Leggett. That show if you're into going and seeing something live and getting out from in front of your TV and computer, and you live in the LA area, that's definitely something that's worth coming and checking out. And if you give me a heads up, well, I'll come out and you can say hi after.
Ooh, awesome. And now that we're nearing the end of the interview, I'm kind of curious if you'd be willing to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Yes. Can I keep my clothes on?
Yes, please do.
Okay, great. Yes.
If there's anybody in the chat who said, Kana, why did you say that? I'm just going to ignore you for the rest of the week.
I work in Hollywood. I've learned to ask.
No, we ask everybody if they'd be willing to do a radio bump for us.
Oh, sure. I'll totally do that.
Awesome. We try and do this live on air, and we're basically wondering if you could say a line that's, hello, my name is, you insert your name, I do this, you can insert characters or just general bodies of work that you do, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Tuned into 91.8 The Fan. Awesome.
Yeah. So whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Hello, my name is Henry Dittman. I'm the voice of Kabuto on Naruto, and you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. Jutsu.
I don't know why that was so funny to me.
Because it's really weird, and you are as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
So then you should follow my Twitter feed because you will find that dumb stuff funny.
Sounds about right. Now I'm going to do that. I'm more of a Twitter bug anyway. That was perfect, though. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the fans out there?
No, just thank you. Thank you for the kind emails and messages and support. I really love doing Kabuto and love the work that I do on camera and on microphone. And I certainly do it because I love the feeling I get for doing the work, but it's a really wonderful icing on the cake when people appreciate what you do. So a big thanks to everyone out there who supported my career for 10 years.
And thank you for joining us today. This was a lot of fun. You were a wonderful guest to have.
Well, you were a wonderful host.
Ooh,
they should give you a raise. I'm requesting it now online. You should get a raise.
Well, that's recorded, so I'm gonna show that to me because I'm the boss. But for anybody out there that missed any of this interview, don't fret. It'll be up on the website within the next few days. So you want to make sure to keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't. Coming up next is Orange Range with their song O2.